Вот самолет догорает. Один.
Ukraine's Air Force continues to conduct near-daily precision strikes against Russian military infrastructure, signaling growing confidence and capability on the battlefield. In the latest operation, a Ukrainian MiG-29 successfully destroyed a Russian UAV control post using French-supplied AASM Hammer precision-guided bombs. This strike is part of a broader trend. Ukrainian jets are increasingly operating with Western munitions that allow them to hit high-value targets with minimal risk and high effectiveness. As the flow of advanced Western weaponry continues, Ukraine's ability to carry out strategic air raids deep behind Russian lines is steadily increasing. More info about Ukrainian attack on Russian airbases. Satellite image of Ivanovo-Severny Air Base obtained by Huron 92 shows one of 50 early warning and control aircraft possibly damaged or destroyed. Notably, the highlighted piles of debris or rubble seen in the image had already appeared a week prior to the attack and likely do not indicate new damage. More videos are coming from the big Ukrainian attack on Russian air bases. There's one aircraft burning down, and there's 7 more. I'm gonna get some water and go put out another aircraft. A Russian showed the situation at the Belaya Air Base in Russia's Irkutsk region.
Вот самолет догорает. Один. И таких еще 7 штук. Сейчас водой заправлюсь, поеду еще один самолет дотушивать.
Russian Member of Parliament Andrei Gurulev blamed the Russian General Staff for the loss of aircrafts. He called the attack a complete failure of all Russian intelligence services.
After all, strategic aviation is part of our nuclear triad. That is, they were not just targeting the aircraft, but specifically targeting the carrier aircraft of a special weapon, special warhead, or more precisely, the X-55 missile, of which there are 16 large units, here the 95th, and it went. And one aircraft can easily take out half of America. That is the point. Now, attention. The question, who is responsible for the nuclear triad?
Who is it?
Correct. That means the General Staff. The General Staff is probably responsible for the nuclear triad. You know what's really scary? I really hope that this doesn't get overlooked, that they hold not just a scapegoat accountable like the airbase commander, who supposedly didn't guard properly. This turned out to be a systemic problem. And not only that, it's not just about removing someone from their position, but there should be accountability under the criminal code for causing immense harm to our country.
And let's see the other events. Shadow unit identified and destroyed a Russian electronic warfare system, Zytel. In addition, 3 vehicles were destroyed. One of the cornerstones of Russia's battlefield strategy is the use of advanced electronic warfare systems, particularly the Zytel complex. Designed to jam GPS signals, suppress enemy drones, and disrupt communications, Zytel plays a critical role in neutralizing Ukraine's precision-guided munitions and intelligence-gathering capabilities. For Russian forces, protecting Zytel units is vital to maintaining electronic superiority along the front. However, Ukrainian forces have made it a top priority to hunt down and destroy these systems. In recent months, Kyiv has successfully eliminated over 20 Zytel complexes using a mix of drone reconnaissance, HIMARS precision strikes, and loitering munitions like the UJ-22 and FPV kamikaze drones. In several instances, Ukrainian operators first identified the radar signature of Zytel units using NATO-supplied SIGINT tools, then coordinated strikes within minutes. By taking out Zytel systems, Ukraine is steadily degrading Russia's electronic warfare shield, giving its drones, artillery, and missile systems greater freedom to operate, and signaling a critical shift in the balance of tactical advantage. Arrogant people. Zelensky on the behavior of the Russians during negotiations in Istanbul.
The Russian side spoke about threats from Ukraine to their lives.
Honestly, I am surprised. I am confident that our people behaved absolutely correctly. As I understand, they get calls after the first meeting, calls over the phone or wherever they are called, I don't know, and something there threatens, there are corresponding statements. I was told about this. Therefore, honestly speaking, surprised by such messages. Well, as for the threats from the Russian side,
Hopeless.
and the delegation behaved, as I was told, a little calmer than before. But the audacity, well, it is what it is. Therefore, the insolent people behaved a bit more modestly. Well, let's see. Maybe a couple more measures are needed, and then everyone will try to behave like human beings.
The Russians really put in the effort. In addition to a folding visor on top of the vehicle, Russian troops also mounted something separately on the front and decorated it with what appears to be electronic warfare, maybe? In some cases, such experiments might actually provide decent additional protection, but it looks creepy. A true Mad Max style, as always. The Ukrainian defense industry has the capacity to produce 10 million drones annually. Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Oleksandr Kozenko, stated this during the Security Forum ISS Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. He spoke at the panel discussion Innovative Solutions in Defense for Future Challenges alongside Commander of the U.S. Army in the Indo-Pacific region, Admiral Samuel Paparo, Chief of Defense of Germany, General Lieutenant Karsten Breuer, Chief of Staff of the Indian Army, General Anil Chauhan, and Chief of the Joint Staff of the Brazilian Armed Forces, Admiral Renato Rodrigues. During his speech, Kozenko presented to the forum participants Ukraine's defense industrial potential, particularly in the field of drone technologies. He emphasized that Ukrainian drones were significantly cheaper than foreign counterparts and, most importantly, had already undergone combat testing. Ukraine has brought the drone industry to a new level and is developing innovative solutions both in the air, on land, and in water. Currently, the Ukrainian defense industry has the capability to produce 10 million different drones annually, Kozenko stated. He also paid special attention to the combat experience of Ukrainian UAV operators. According to him, it is precisely this experience that is allowing Ukraine to develop new doctrinal approaches to the use of unmanned systems. As Kozenko noted, drones currently account for 80% of all target hits on the battlefield. At the end of his speech, the deputy minister invited international defense companies to cooperate with Ukraine's defense industry, specifically in financing production, creating joint ventures, and exchanging technological expertise. The active production of drones in Ukraine is rapidly developing, particularly with the support of international partners who finance both the development and procurement of various types and purposes of drones. At the end of May, it was announced that Germany would finance the purchase of several Ukrainian unmanned systems, including the Bars missile drones, Lyuty strike drones, and Flamingo interceptor drones. The total amount of support for the production of Ukrainian long-range weapons is 400 million euros. In addition, the European Commission is investing 910 million euros under the European Defence Fund initiative. For the first time, Ukrainian defense companies have been included in this initiative. They will participate in projects related to the development and improvement of drone technologies. The Russian threat is building up European armies. Belgium plans to form an investment fund of 36 billion euros, which will finance a large-scale rearmament of the army and the formation of a new mechanized brigade. De Morgan reported on this, citing its own sources. At the end of June, Western heads of state and government will gather in The Hague for the annual NATO summit, where it is expected that an increase in the defense spending norm for each country will be agreed to 5% of the gross domestic product. The publication notes that before this meeting, Belgium must demonstrate an increase in previously agreed defense spending to 2% of GDP and prepare a concrete investment plan to reassure its allies. The development of the Defense Investment Plan has been entrusted to the Ministry of Defense, and according to sources, It involves signing a series of defense contracts totaling 36 billion euros by 2035. One of the key elements of the plan is the order for additional F-35 fighter jets, which will replace the retired F-16 in the Belgian air component. According to available information, the plan is to purchase 21 more aircraft. This will give the air component a total of 55 combat aircraft, the number NATO expects from Belgium. Due to the Russian threat, the alliance has strengthened its demands to ensure readiness for direct confrontation with Moscow. Around 5 billion euros are allocated for combat aviation. This amount also includes future upgrades for the already ordered F-35s, as well as participation in a European project for managing the aircraft database, which is currently under the control of the United States. In addition, the government plans to purchase 2 more MQ-9B Sky Guardian reconnaissance strike medium-altitude drones. The investment plan for the Navy includes the purchase of a 3rd frigate at a cost of around 1.3 billion euros. This will allow the country to always have 1 combat-ready warship, while the other 2 are undergoing maintenance or training. Air defense is the top priority in political plans. Under the slogan "No More Wars," this component of the armed forces was essentially dismantled in the 1990s. This issue is set to be addressed through the acquisition of new surface-to-air missile systems as part of the investment project. Belgium is looking to its partnership with the Netherlands, planning to build up its air defense forces with similar equipment. The first step will be the purchase of Norwegian NASAM systems, 10 batteries, each with 4 launchers. Cybersecurity is also a major focus. The plan includes an expenditure of 4 billion euros to strengthen this area. The ground forces can expect the creation of a 2nd motorized brigade, a combat unit with a staff of 3,000 soldiers who will be equipped with armored vehicles. Over 10 billion euros are planned for the development of the ground forces by 2035. The publication notes that the investment plan does not contain major surprises. The government adheres to NATO's capability targets. In addition to the obligation to spend 2% of GDP on defense, the alliance sets specific requirements for each country every 4 years on what they must contribute to collective defense. However, so far, the government has only reached a budgetary agreement regarding the increase in defense spending for 2025. The remaining issues still need to be resolved.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.